I'm Caleb from Private Auto, and today we are going over the the Toyota Tacoma, also known as a Taco, specifically the 3rd generation TRD off-road trim. Now, before we dive into the video, this exact truck is listed for sale by owner on privateauto.com, the first transactional marketplace that gives you transactional tools to buy or sell a car anytime, any place. Now let's dive into the history of the Toyota Tacoma. This truck was first introduced in 1995, replacing the Toyota pickup, which was basically the American version of the Toyota Hilux. Now in the Tacoma, when they launched it, they decided to focus more on drivability, handling, the comfort of the truck, instead of the ruggedness, high payload capacity of the previous truck. Now, some people may disagree with the direction Toyota took the Tacoma, but I think in general, the sales speak for themselves. And speaking of sales numbers, in 2005, the first year of the 2nd generation of the Tacoma, it overtook the Ford Ranger as the most popular mid-size pickup truck, and it has held that title ever since then to today in 2024. Now, speaking of generations of the truck, the 1st generation Tacoma lasted from 1995 all the way to 2004. It underwent a few facelifts, and in 1998, Toyota introduced the TRD trim, which is what we see here today. Now, as I mentioned, the 2nd generation launched in 2005 all the way up till 2016 with the launch of the 3rd generation, which is what we have here. And then the 4th generation just launched this year in 2024. Now, one thing that's nice about the 3rd generation of the Tacoma is they made an update to the interior and exterior of the truck, and you gotta admit, the updates look really nice. Now, in this year, 2024, when they launched the 4th generation of the Tacoma, it had a bit of controversy because they decided to get rid of the 6-cylinder option for the truck, and they opted for a turbocharged 4-cylinder or a hybrid 4-cylinder. Let me know what you think in the comments if that was a good switch. Now let's dive into some of the specs of the Toyota Tacoma. Now, when shopping for a used Tacoma, you will have 6 different trims to choose from, and each of those trims will have the following options. You can choose between the access cab or the double cab. You can choose between the long bed and the short bed. You can choose between 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, and you can choose between a 4-cylinder and a V6. Unless you're shopping 2024, rest in peace V6. The truck we have here today is the double cab version of the TRD off-road trim. This truck here comes with a 3.5 liter V6 engine. It puts out 278 horsepower and gives 265 pound-feet of torque. You'll get 18 miles to the gallon in the city and 23 miles to the gallon on highway. And this model here has the 6-speed automatic transmission and is 4-wheel drive. Now, since you're shopping for a used one, you can also get the Tacoma in a manual transmission, though those might be a little bit more hard to come by. Now let's go do a walk around the car and talk about some of the cool things on the exterior of the Tacoma, specifically this Tacoma. Underneath, you got the sweet long skid plate, which protects your undercarriage of the truck. Then this truck is unique because it got upgraded with some pro parts, such as the Pro grille here and the Pro hood. Then the aftermarket Tacoma Beast headlights right here. Working our way to the side of the truck, this truck here is lifted slightly, but your standard clearance is 9.4 inches. And then this truck has the TRD Pro wheels with oversized tires and of course that slightly extended lift. Now working our way here, you have the turn signal on the side mirrors here. You also get it inside the mirror. You also have the ability to tap to lock on the handle here when you walk away. And then working your way to the bed, right here, this is the short bed. This also comes with the add-on of an extended bed. So when you check out your used Tacoma for a test drive, make sure it has what bed you're looking for. And on the way on the back here you have a soft open tailgate, which is lockable and has the camera. You can see there it soft opens, but it is not a soft close. You have to push pretty hard to get it to close. This is the short bed version, but you still have the 4 adjustable hooks that are on sliders and 4 fixed hooks on the bed of the truck. You also have a 120 volt outlet there, as well as some additional storage areas. And you have this rough country, this truck specifically is this rough country tri-fold bed cover. Get my deadlift in with that tailgate. Now, another option on the TRD trim is that there's no chrome anywhere on the body of the truck. You have the nice matte black finishes instead, which in my opinion work really well with the white colored truck because it gives it that stormtrooper look, which is pretty awesome. Now, before we go inside the truck, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel as we release one of these listing review videos every single week. Let's go inside. All right, now that we're in the inside of the truck, let's go over some of the unique things inside the truck, as well as some of the features that you have right here in the cockpit of the truck. Now, one thing that's pretty important for me is that there is no height adjustment in the seat. So I am short and there's no way I can go up. And I'm 5'5", and right now it looks like the hood is actually angled upward, even though I know it's not, but it's because I'm short enough. So when you test drive one of these trucks, be sure to check how it looks looking out of the windshield. Also, it's all manual seat adjustments, so they're not electronic. You can move forward and back. You can adjust the lumbar support here, and then of course recline. You got a push start right here. Right here in the instrument cluster, you actually have a 4.2-inch screen, which is where you can see various details about your truck, as well as see the enablement of Toyota Safety Sense, which is the radar-enabled cruise control and the sensors around the truck when you are parking the truck, and also the collision avoidance system that Toyotas have. Up front on the steering wheel, you have a lot of buttons, but you also have the cruise control down here, your typical like windshield wiper. Your gear selector is down here, functions like your typical gear selector. Got a nice leather overlay here. You have a cup holder in the middle, which I would actually consider more of a bottle holder. It's not thick enough for a Stanley, but you do have two additional cup holders that are big enough for a Stanley down here in front. You also have a wireless charging pad here, which I think is pretty great. Even though this is an older truck, you can still charge your phone and devices wirelessly. Then you have all of your various controls up here in terms of the safety collision avoidance. You got your external power here. You have turning on your wireless charger. You also have your USB port, and you can open and close the rear window here. In the middle, you got your 7-inch touchscreen, which is all touch enabled, which I think is a maybe not so great choice from Toyota, because if you're using this truck as a work truck, you might have gloves on, and these don't work super great with gloves. The only physical knobs you have is volume and power and your tune. Everything else is controlled by touch here. You have your GPS guidance, which isn't as great as like Apple Maps or Google Maps, but it works, it's fine. But everything, like I said, is controlled by touch, and you have a good old CD player right here. And you got your audio here, which the Tacoma 2019 does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so your only way of playing music from your phone is USB cord or Bluetooth. Now, another nice thing about this truck is it does have a manual e-brake, which is super nice, especially if you're off-roading. You just want to throw that back to go out and check your rock clearance or something like that. And then on the left side of the steering wheel, you have your rear bed lights. You have your control of the power of the outlet in the back, as well as controlling your headlights and turning them into auto and not auto. And last but not least, your windows increasers and decreasers are only automatic in the front. In the back, they are not automatic, but you can still control them from up here in the cockpit. Now, one thing that's pretty cool about the Tacoma as well is you can move the seat out of the way, and you have additional storage space underneath the seat here, which I turned the wrong way to open, which is super nice. You can even store a nice Louisville Slugger baseball bat underneath the seats. We got additional storage here, and you can pull this seat down, and you have a little bit more storage here. Now, this seat is supposed to fold all the way flat, and this is moved back for someone who's about 6'2", and as you can see here, it does not fold all the way flat. So this is pretty nice if you are a single person driving and you have no one in the passenger seat. You can move that seat all the way forward and pull the back all the way down where it lays flat. But the extra storage in the back here is pretty nice. And now let's do the tall person test and put our 6'1" videographer in the back seat to see if he fits.
So I would say it's pretty tight since the seat's like kind of far back. I like am kind of cramped for room, but the seats are pretty stiff, like up and down.
Okay.
Like they don't recline. And so long road trips are gonna be uncomfortable back here for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty rough as a tall guy back there. Now, the driver of this vehicle, I think, is like 6'2", 6'3". So if you have two 6-foot people, one driving and one behind them, it's gonna be pretty uncomfortable for the guy in the back. And then in this truck here, you do have the all-weather mats, which is pretty nice because you're most likely gonna be taking this truck off-roading and tracking in that mud, which is way easier to clean off of these mats. All right, let's go ahead and go on a quick drive here. Now, one thing about the driving is that down here you do have the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel low and high selector. And then up top is where you can select the different drive modes, including rock crawl, which is pretty awesome. And it's also where you can lock your rear differential. So in terms of being like a true off-roading truck, the Tacoma definitely has the features to give you the confidence off-road. Now, as far as handling, I can already tell that this truck handles well for a truck. Let's do some turns here. It turns well for a truck, but this isn't meant to be like a very sporty truck. It is meant to be a very reliable truck, a very off-road ready truck. So in terms of stepping on the accelerator, I don't expect it to like get up and go super fast, but we'll go ahead and step on the accelerator here. Yeah, so I mean, it's gradual. Now this truck does 0 to 60 eventually, but not in like 3 to 5 business days. Now, in terms of like driving comfort, these seats aren't like super comfy, but I don't know, they're good enough. This truck, like looking out the rearview mirror here, you can tell it's a short bed. Like after driving a truck with a much longer bed, it doesn't restrict your view as much. So if you don't have any use for a longer bed, the short bed is actually pretty nice in terms of just driving awareness. But like I said, this truck is not a performance racing truck. This truck is meant to be an everyday driver and an off-road beast of a truck where you don't necessarily need that acceleration. You need good handling, good control, and good comfort as your everyday driver. Now let's talk pricing when it comes to buying a used Toyota Tacoma. When this model first launched in 2019, it retailed for $37,000. Now this truck here does have a few upgrades which increase the value of the truck. This one here is listed on privateauto.com for $30,000. which according to our vehicle value calculator on our website is actually just below average for this truck, so you're getting a pretty sweet deal. Now the Toyota Tacoma actually retains its value pretty dang well. In fact, it is one of the least depreciating trucks that exists. Over the course of 5 years, this truck only depreciates about 33%, which is really, really good. So keep that in mind when shopping for a Tacoma, is the fact that it does retain its value really well. Now, since you're shopping for a used Tacoma, here are some things to look out for when you show up for your test drive. Number one, be sure to look underneath the body of the Tacoma for rust on the frames. So if you live or if the truck has lived near snow where there's a lot of salt that gets in, a lot of moisture that gets in and stays around the frame of the truck, just be sure to look out for rust underneath, as that can cause even holes in the frame and will be bad news bears for you buying a used one. Now, when you start up the car for the test drive, be sure to listen for a whine that might happen in the front of the vehicle. That's coming from an idler pulley, which would need to be replaced if it's causing whining, and that can be a hassle. Then when you start your test drive, be sure to start it underneath 25 miles an hour, because under 25 miles an hour as you're driving, if you're feeling any shaking at all, that's also bad news, and you should probably get that checked out via a pre-purchase inspection before purchasing the car. Now, after you've driven at under 25 miles an hour for a bit, hop on the highway and let the truck transition into each of the gears as you're speeding up. Pay attention to any signs of gear hunting, as that may mean a problem in the transmission. Now, gear hunting may not necessarily mean a major red flag in the transmission. It just might be an early sign of wear on the transmission. So you can just leave it up to your own judgment on whether or not it's a huge red flag for you or whether you're okay dealing with some signs of early wear on the transmission. Now, also while on the highway, be sure to turn on cruise control, test the electronics, make sure everything works, because sometimes the electronics on the Tacoma can fizz out a bit, and so those are some easy ways to test that out. Now, when shopping for a used Tacoma, the other thing you're going to be looking at is the mileage. Now, the beauty of a Toyota Tacoma is it is considered high mileage anything over 200,000 miles, and low mileage, anything 100,000 miles or below, because these babies last a long time. So keep that in mind as well. If you're buying anything over 200K miles, then you may want to do a pre-purchase inspection, because there may be more things wrong with the truck than if you are looking at one around 100,000 miles. All right, now that we've gone over the history, the specs, walked around the exterior and interior of the truck, let's dive into my final thoughts. If you are looking for a reliable work truck or a really fun off-road pickup truck, the Tacoma is definitely for you, especially the TRD off-road trim that we have here. It's known for its durability, capability, long-lasting performance, comfort of the ride, and it's a solid option in the mid-size truck category. That's all for this truck. We'll see you on the next review next week.